Let's have a great conversation. And I'm so thrilled to have the three of you here. Okay. Deep breath. Okay, Jordan, you can send us the feed whenever you're ready. Here we go. Everybody
we are
wave.
coming up to showtime. Have a
Everybody
great show
wave.
today.
Thank you. Behave yourselves. There, I said it. Okay, let's do it.
Welcome to Next at the Mic Radio, a lively hour of unscripted roundtable conversations with Voice America's longtime, new and upcoming hosts about their inspirations, goals, and insights to help you find your own mic. Ooh, how those lips can talk. Now, here's Bonnie D.
Here I am. Question for my guest, Ron Roel. You've been on before, so you don't get to answer this. Sandy Bloom, Dr. Sandra Bloom, I had to say that. Was that a real voice or an AI? Take a guess. What'd you think?
Probably AI.
Probably you're just saying it because I put that into my question or because you really say, okay, so that's, yeah, she felt I was leading the witness there. Dominick, Dom Tavella, what did you really think? I hope Michael didn't, your partner, Michael Hartzman, didn't give you a clue. What do you think?
No, we have this kind of unwritten rule. Everything is unrehearsed and unscripted. I'm going to go live. I'm old school, Bonnie. I like live. I like the real thing.
Okay. Did he sound pretty real? Didn't he? The way he talked? Yes? You think, Dom? Yes, Dom's nodding. Okay, here's the deal. That voice was created in artificial intelligence, Sandy, by Robert Cellino, who is the general manager of Voice America Radio. He worked on that voice for a long time, and he sent me samples, and we couldn't get anybody who sounded just right. But one of my taglines on my Monday night show called Read My Lips, Cool Conversations with Creatives, where I'm AKA Radio Red, one of the opening lines is, how those lips can talk. And when he found a male voice that could say that with reasonable sincerity, that was the one. And we haven't named him yet. So we're going to have a contest to name him. So welcome, everybody. This is Next to the Mic, where we talk radio. Now, that's a double entendre, Ron Roel. Talk radio, we're on talk radio. We're talking about radio. I invite guests who are hosts on Voice America. We have Dr. Sandy Bloom. We have Dominick Tavella and returning guests. So happy to have you back, Ron Roel. I finally learned how to pronounce your last name. Very hard. 4 letters, 2 syllables. Yeah. I'll get with it. Don't
another
worry.
4-letter word, you know?
Yeah. Well, I didn't think of it that way. We're going to talk about the impact of radio, the importance, why we do radio, and what's the future of this as a communications platform. We're not selling anything. We're not promoting anything. Of course, we're all here through Voice America, and we're on the Variety Channel, and thrilled to do that. I'm Bonnie D. Some people also know me as Bonnie D. Graham, and I have created more than 50 radio series through Voice America since 2011 for some of the biggest business and tech and advisory, shall we say, consulting analyst companies in the world. And this is one of my personal shows. I said to them, let me talk to the other hosts. Let's talk to people like Dom and Michael. Let's talk to Ron Roel. Let's talk to Sandy Bloom. And Sarah Yanosi is coming on next week. She's Sandy's co-host. Let's find out why they do radio. I know why I do radio, because I like to talk to smart people. So you all qualify. Dom, especially you. I want you to know that. Okay, so I have a little poem I've co-created with ChatGPT. And I like to tell people that ChatGPT, we know, is AI. It's an LLM, large language model. I still use the free one, not ready to go for the GPT-4, but it's wonderful. And me, I'm still human. Sandy, do I still look and sound human? What do you think?
Yes, totally human.
Okay, she's a psychiatrist. She knows it's okay. So I'm calling this episode Turn Up the Volume, okay? Because I want everybody to hear you. So here we go with my opening. Welcome to Next at the Mic. And when I call your name, you have to wave furiously at LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, and wave at the virtual audience, the audio on Voice America. Welcome to Next at the Mic, a platform unique where Voice America hosts your interest. They will pique. Host Bonnie D, with passion to wow, I hope I'm wowing you, welcomes 3 stars on Turn Up the Volume now. Dominick Tavella, wave hello, Dom. Financial maven.
How are you?
Well, I'm not done. I got to read your poem first. Wait up, Dominick. It's not introduction time yet.
Wait. You have one for me, specifically just for me?
Yes, I do.
God,
everybody gets their own. You should be. Here we go. Dominick Tavella, financial maven bright. President and CIO, guiding investment with insight. Co-host the Lebenthal Report with Michael Hartzman in co-command. Wall Street wisdom, expertise, well planned. What'd you think, Dom? Did you like that?
I can give you a thumbs up now. I can approve. I can interrupt.
Yes, you can.
Great job.
Thank you. Now, Dr. Sandy Bloom, psychiatrist with grace. I've known her for 12 minutes and she's very graceful. Dr. Sandy Bloom, psychiatrist with grace, teaching trauma and adversity, wisdom to embrace at Drexel University, where her knowledge takes flight. Co-hosts Creating Presence with Sarah Yonosi, where true insights unite. Sandy, what'd you?
Oh,
Oh,
nice, Bonnie.
thank
Thank you.
you. Well, you're welcome. And Ron Roel, a journalist with stories to unfold, covering business, politics. His narrative is bold. In the realm of successful aging, he hosts 45 Forward with focus so clear, a calm and sage voice for all to hear. Ron, what'd you think?
Lovely. Authentic, maybe artificially, but authentically
No.
done.
I edited it, so it's real. It's real. So
It's real.
here's the closing part. Listen,
Good.
watch, add delight to your day as Bonnie D's Scarlett mic, see all the mics, this is real, leads the way. Next at the mic where voices soar, a symphony of inspiration. Hear radio's wisdom roar. What'd y'all think? Now, Dom, what do you think?
Bravo.
There we go.
Very nice.
Thank you. And I will tell you, for your shows, if you want something interesting, just put in a couple of notes to ChatGPT and say, help me write an opening monologue, give it the name of your show and the host, and then put in a little bit of the bio of your guest or guests and say, write me a poem or write me prose or whatever. And it will come back. Are any of you using ChatGPT for your openings? No?
Oh, not but generally, just for a lot of stuff, just to first draft it up, get something on that.
It's good. It's really good. Dom, are you using it at all?
No, I have not gone near it, honestly.
Well, I know that time is important to you, Dom, because you're in the business where time is money, and so is Sandy. But I want to say that the time lag from when you put in all this information in the query box in ChatGPT, the time lag, if you went 1,000, 2, 1,000, before you get to 3 seconds, you will have everything returned to you. There is virtually no lag. It is so fast, your head will spin. On that note, let's go around the table and get some real bios and find out who you all are. And by the way, Dominick Tavella, I have to do a shout out to the wonderful Larissa Meyerhoff, who has been so helpful to me. I like to give credit where it's due. So helpful to me in scheduling Michael Hartzman and you, Dominick. So Dominick, I'm putting you on speaker view. You handsome devil. And I want you to tell us who you are. You sent me a wonderful bio. How'd you get started in finance? And just a tiny bit about your radio show. Dom, welcome.
Thank you. And thanks for the invite for having me this evening on the show. Much appreciated. So we did send you a quick bio, and I always like to keep it short, to be honest with you, because I don't think it was really very eventful. But I came out of college. I started working for a Wall Street firm. I loved the business. That was 1982. I just thought this was the greatest industry in the world. We could genuinely help people. I really loved doing it. I just kind of hated the people I was doing it for. And I don't know where this came from. And I honestly always tell the story. I was just too stupid to know you weren't supposed to. So I decided to quit a well-paying job and start my own company. That was in 1984. And basically have been completely independent wealth management firm since. Became partners with Michael Hartzman about a decade ago, best partner in the business. And we are just a freestanding independent firm trying to help people.
Wonderful.
As a short version of a long story.
Well, give me a little more. You got a little more to your 3 minutes. So anything else you want to talk about as far as what was it like starting your own firm? That was almost 30 years ago?
40, yeah. Literally started the firm in 1984. Yeah. And it was tough. You know, I was literally working out of a spare bedroom at a house. I hate to sound whiny about it, but we started working literally out of a spare bedroom, and the company grew. And I really wasn't very worried about much back in those days. Again, maybe too stupid to know any better, but the company kept growing and we kept adding clients. And I genuinely feel blessed that 40 years later, we're sitting here and we manage the assets that we do, and we get to take care of people the way we do, and they get to take care of us. It's a great relationship with clients. So I'm feeling very blessed to be here, Bonnie.
And speaking of relationships, why did you and Michael start the radio show? What do you do on the radio show? Just briefly, Mike. Dom.
Yeah, great question. So we get, because of our firm, because of both myself and Michael own and run the firm, we get to literally speak to on a weekly basis what I really genuinely believe are the smartest people on Wall Street. They could be economists or portfolio managers or equity strategists, bond. So we literally get to speak to the brightest people for the largest institutions on the planet. planet. And then we come home and we try to share those thoughts with clients and conversations. And that's literally one conversation at a time, Bonnie. And you're thinking, well, we have thousands of clients. There's got to be a better way to get the message out, to let people know what the smart people are thinking. And that's where the roots of the show came out of. Hey, we're just sharing and bringing guests on board to kind of give them the real deal of what's going on, unscripted, unrehearsed, live, as you well know, and try to make it in a very common sense way that people can understand what we're trying to get across.
Thank you very much. I love the part about how you started your business in a bedroom. I think everybody appreciates that because that's where some real geniuses started theirs, or garages, Dom. So thank you very much. And let's move around the table. Dr. Sandy Bloom, so happy to meet you and thank you so much. And I have to tell everybody, Michael and Dom, I wouldn't let them come on the same show because then it would have been all about the Lebenthal report. So I wouldn't let Sandy and Sarah come on the same show. And that's why I've separated them. So we'll get different perspectives on the value and future of radio. Sandy Bloom, I'm putting your wonderful self on full screen speaker view. Would you please fill in the blanks? I just gave a little tiny bit in the poem. We want to know more about you. Welcome, Sandy.
Thank you, Bonnie. It's lovely to be here. I'm kind of old, so it's hard to keep it brief. I've had it feels like many lifetimes, but I am a physician. I'm a psychiatrist. I had a practice for 30 years. But way back in 1980, I started my own psych unit, turned a med-surg unit into a psychiatric unit, open, voluntary, where people could come and get the help they needed in a brief period of time. And my life then changed dramatically on a day in 1985 because it was because of one person that got everything started. She was a young woman who I had treated for 5 years, was very close to. But she had accused a man of rape when she was a teenager, and it hadn't happened. The police investigated, and the story didn't hang together, and I didn't know what to make out of that. And 5 years later, she came back because she was suicidal, and I walked into the room to see her, and it was her, but it wasn't her. She was acting and looking and talking like a little girl, and it was just so bizarre. And I knew what it was, but I just never expected it in somebody I knew as well as I knew anybody. And it turned out what she revealed was that she had been molested by her father from age 7 until he died when she was 18, which was when I first met her. And that was the beginning of a radical change for me and for all my colleagues, because we started asking all the people that we were treating about their childhoods, and we found that they had amazingly bad things happen to them that had profoundly determined what the problems were. And once we got there, people started getting better, a lot better. They started really recovering from all these symptoms. And that began to change everything. Meantime, our program had to move in 91 and again in 96 and again in 98, and finally had to close it in 2001 because of all the changes in healthcare, having nothing to do with what we were doing. It just wasn't affordable anymore. So I started doing a lot of consulting and started a training institute in 2005. And that's where I met Sarah, who you'll meet in a couple of weeks. And we trained about 350 organizations in what it means to be trauma informed, because that's what this is called now. And it's really about asking, instead of asking people what's wrong with them, it's about asking what happened to them. And then in 2016, we needed to, Sarah and I, leave that training program behind. Corporate changes needed to go. So we had to grieve for a little while. And then we decided we could do something online. And with the help of this organization called Lakeside Global Institute, we've created Presence, and it's an organizational approach to creating trauma-informed care. And I'm also the founder and immediate past president of the Campaign for Trauma-Informed Policy and Practice. How'd
That's
I do?
You did absolutely great. I wasn't sure where you were going with the first story, but you were laying the groundwork, Sandy, for the reason for why you do what you do, and we appreciate that.
I have an even more important thing that I meant to say, Bonnie.
Go
Can
ahead,
I
go
still
ahead.
say
Yes,
it?
yes, go ahead. I'll give you another
The
60
reason
seconds.
the reason I'm now associate professor of public health at Drexel is because what we found out was that this is a major public health issue, and that most mental illness and physical illness is preventable. So, we need to take this seriously because we could stop it from happening so that grown-ups don't have to end up with heart disease and cancer and all the other problems that we as grown-ups have if we would just take adequate care of children.
Wouldn't it be wonderful?
Hmm.
Wouldn't it be wonderful? Just a quick story. I have a relative very close to me who's been suffering and struggling with physical problems that were catastrophic for over a year. And medicine didn't find any diagnoses or any help. And she finally turned to the work of Dr. Howard Schubner. You may know his work, Mind Body, the relationship. And she's working with groups and reading his books and watching his YouTube videos and learning to retrain the brain away from trauma and away from fear. And
Yep.
the symptoms are being alleviated. She's coping with the pain, which is still there, but she took her life back.
That's wonderful.
And she's an MD, so
Yeah.
she knows that medicine wasn't answering the questions. Her own field of practice was not solving the problems. And I found that absolutely fascinating. That's a whole other show, Sandy. Thank you very much. Excuse me, everybody, for interjecting that. Let's go
Absolutely.
around the table. Ron Roel, you were so good on the show when you were on about a month ago. I said, I've got an opening. I've got to get him back. We want to know more. Just pretend, Ron. Don't take offense at this. Pretend that nobody's ever seen you on Next at the Mic. Welcome to our brand new guest, Ron Roel. Ron, tell us all about what you do. Let's start from there. Welcome back, Ron.
Thanks very much. Glad to be here, Bonnie. Yeah. So, yeah, pretending like this is a show that you've seen before, but you can't remember what what the plot was. That's me. So I'm, as Bonnie said, yes, I'm a veteran journalist, not a veteran, but a longtime journalist, and that's my basic profession. Although I bounce around a lot, so a lot of my colleagues joined a paper or were in newspapers and media, and I bounced around a lot. So I started off, I was a high school star, and then I went into college, and it was pretty clear I was going to go into journalism. But I felt that being in journalism was about life's experiences, learning stories from being in life. So I didn't go right back to journalism after I had an internship in college, and then I worked for a fundraising campaign. I went to graduate school. Started doing freelance work. I tried to start a magazine, which was unsuccessful, but I learned a lot in doing so. And then I started freelancing again, and then got back into journalism as a business journalist at Newsday. So I did that for a good chunk of time. But toward the end of that tenure, I covered politics, business, real estate. I had an interesting experience just sitting down and listening to a financial planner talk about longevity and what we were going to do to plan for later life, and how much did we have to save, and what was life going to be like, and how long would our grandchildren live, and I just realized, wait a minute, life is going to be different. It's not like planning for retirement and then got a few years. You could have planned for retirement and have 20, 30, 40 more years. And Dom knows this quite well because there are a lot of financial things to consider. As well as I've discovered, from Sandy's point of view, there are lots of psychological dimensions to aging that people aren't thinking about. So I got involved and I started a section called Act Two, which was essentially, how to serve the 50 plus market technically. But it was really about, it wasn't about retirement. It was about how do you make the most of life in terms of the opportunities and also meeting the challenges. So I did that. And then I I left the newspaper because I saw the newspapers hadn't planned for their act two because no one was reading newspapers, and I was like, well, I'm not going down with this ship. So, and the ship hasn't sunk. Newspapers are still here, but they're different. They serve a different function. So I went out on my own again, and I've been working on. I got very interested in aging issues and what I call successful aging. And so I've been writing about this issue. Um, and two things happened. One is I was engaged to write a piece about caregiving. And I did that and then got really interested, like a lot of people in this field, because guess what? You're dealing with this on a personal level. You're taking care of your parents. And that's what happens. And people realize how much help people need to guide you through this journey from the beginning to the end. Uh, and then the second thing was quite parallel. I got a call from Robert Cialino, on Voice America. He said to me, "Hi, we're Voice America," and I said, "What's that?" And so he told me, "But internet radio." And then he said, "Are you interested in doing a show for us?" And I said, "What? Like what?" He said, pitch us a show." And I said, "Okay, this is it." And he said, "Great. 45 forward." That's what I wanted to do. I wanted to basically connect my previous life and caregiving to this notion of how do we promote successful aging by having experts like you folks on my show every week to talk about a whole spectrum of issues, some practical, some personal, some about life's journeys. It could be your work, it could be health, it could be finance. As I mentioned earlier, I've had Dominick and Michael on my show, and uh, and I brought in his show, and so I guess we get more of this later, Bonnie. But about why I do the show, what I find from the show,
Thank
which
you. And I
is
have a question. Before you go on,
Mhm.
Roel, two questions.
Yeah.
Why 45 forward? Why not 55 forward or 65 forward? Why 45? I think we're all Dominick may know the answer. Sandy and I want to know, right, Sandy?
Yeah.
Girls want to know. Okay, Ron, why?
Well, I wanted to get to people thinking about the second half of life before they hit the 50-yard line. That's people think about 50, and I wanted them to think about that before 50, because things start to shift in your 40s. So I wanted people to get ahead of the curve. Um, that as I say, you have to when you want to think about an uncharted road, which is your later part of life, you need to slow down a little bit. You need to pause and think about what do I want to do. If you're driving too fast, life has a lot of curves, and my metaphor is if you're driving too fast, you're going to drive off the road. So I wanted to get people to think about it before they hit that, traditional 50 plus yardstick. And the second thing, kind of interestingly, Bonnie, is that I learned that if you're planning ahead, it's a little like throwing a football. That if you say, well, if you're throwing a football, what is the angle I need to throw the football to get the longest distance? It's 45 degrees. So that's the
Oh,
that's the second, underlying piece of it is getting ahead of it and getting the best angle. So my thought is that you can get the most distance in your later life if you start a little bit earlier.
thank you very much. Very eloquently answered. I want to ask you if you remember a Bonnie D and a Ruth D who were on the cover of Act Two of Newsday for their television show, Senior Moments, the Happy Ones, because that was me and my mom. And we
Wow.
were invited to be on the cover of Act Two many, many years ago. I don't know if you remember us,
Do
Ron. Go ahead.
do you remember what year? Because
I'll have to look it up. I have the cover somewhere. But I
okay.
started a show called Senior Moments, and then I changed it to Senior Moments, the Happy Ones. And I invited my mom, Ruth, by the way, who lived to 100 and lived alone.
Wow.
Dominick, she lived at North Shore Towers, and one of the towers on the 19th floor, 19A, beautiful apartment. She swore she could see the water from there. She said she had binoculars. There was no water, but the view went forever. And she told my boyfriends if they ever did me wrong, they were going off the
Ha!
balcony on the 19th floor. But Ruth, when she was about, we did the show for 20 years. We did 250 episodes. And one day I just called her and I said, "Hey, Mom, you want to co-host?" Because she was on my Something to Talk About TV shows with PATV and Great Neck and Lake Success. And she said, "Sure, I'd love to be on TV with you." So we started co-hosting. So we started every
Wow.
show, and I'd say, "I'm Bonnie D. I'm the junior senior. And she'd say, and I'm Ruth, the senior. Well, the funny thing was she made up a different name almost every week. So some days she was Bettina, Ruth Bettina, because her name was Ruth Betty, Bette. So I'm a Ruth Bettina, I'm Ruth something or other. And she made up names for her middle name. And a friend of hers named Gertrude, who Ruth died in my arms at 100 years, 1 month and 15 days. And she said,
Wow.
what are you going to hire a caregiver for? Dominick going to love this. Caregiver
Look,
to watch me get dressed, to watch me eat my cereal with a half a banana every morning, to watch me get my hair done once a week, my nails, to play mahjong, to play bridge, to play the piano, to be the pianist for the Shalom Club at North Shore Towers. And she said, you're going to pay somebody to do that? Save your money. I don't want it. So, yes, so she lived on her
Bonnie,
own.
you both are bringing up extremely valid points here. And I literally, when I got in the industry, I would sit down with somebody who was 63 years old to do retirement planning. And I'm like, what planning am I doing? The guy's going to be dead in 4 years. How much planning do I have to do? And it's a little bit of a joke, but not much. Today, we sit down with somebody who's 64 years old, and we're literally doing 30-year planning, Bonnie. And Ron knows this. 30-year planning. And I can tell you that in the last couple of months, I called a client to celebrate her 100th birthday. I called 2 clients to celebrate their 98th birthday. I'm 97-year-old. I mean, this is more commonplace today than ever in my lifetime. And, God's got a plan and we go along for the ride. But the reality is you need to think and plan. And to Sandy's point, holistically, think about money and think about having these monies last for a very long time and keep your quality of life. So this is a very, very important topic that we should be having with our clients and other guests.
It is. And that's part of the reason why we're doing radio right now. We're talking about the same. I love the way the common threads come up. I didn't pick the 3 of you because you were all going to talk about the same thing. But I want to say that Ruth was very happy to be on her own, but her girlfriends mostly were in their late 90s, and her best friend Gertrude lasted to 104 years old.
God bless.
She couldn't remember when you said, where are you going on your vacation? And I tell her, and she 3 minutes later, where are you going on vacation? But it was okay. She was elegant. She had a beautiful caregiver who lived with her. Ruth just didn't want anybody. So anyway, we did 258 shows. And a month after we did her 100th birthday show on TV, and I brought in mayors and all kinds of local people, and they read proclamations to Ruth on 100. And she took her last breath. So it was very interesting, but it was really hard to let her go. But yes, planning is a big question mark. And planning for mental health, right, Sandy? It's not just planning for where you live.
I want to share a story about my dad, who lived to be 102.
Wow.
And is the only person I know who had, when I say this, people go, had a really good death. It was a week after his birthday was the day I could have a party for him. So, and all of his friends were gone, everybody, of his contemporaries. So they were all my friends. And we had a big party in his favorite restaurant. He ate his favorite meal. I had people playing his favorite music. It was just wonderful.
Yep.
And everything was perfect. And he spoke and he told stories, and everybody told stories about him. And we came home. It was a lunchtime, and we came home, and he got out of my cousin's car and walked into the house. I was still back at the restaurant paying for everything. And he walked into the house and was there. I had gotten back, and he was there 5 minutes, and he died.
Mm-hmm.
And that was it. He was just
a life
gone.
well lived.
It was like he said, this is the best. This is wonderful. And I'm done.
A life well celebrated.
A life well celebrated and well lived.
Thank you. Isn't that the goal for all of us? Now, I want to move on to the next part of the show because we're going to do more about what we do. But I've asked each of you to send me a fictional quote from a movie or a TV show or a song lyric that has nothing to do with radio, and it's going to have something to do with your thoughts on radio. So we're here to talk about why we host radio, why live radio, what the messages are, what's the importance, what's the value, and what's the future. So Dominick Tavella has sent a quote. I had to do the lookup for you, Dom. This was a lot of work. This quote, we found the quote in multiple TV shows. Larissa and I worked together on this, and I found it from Friends. So this is from Friends, the NBC TV sitcom series, 1994 to 2004. And this was 1994, season 10, episode. How could it be? Oh, it was a season 10, episode 7. It's called The One with the Home Study. And just briefly, Joey, Matt LeBlanc, knocking on the door. Guys, everything okay? It's me, Joe. And Chandler, the late Matthew Perry, screams, adoption. And somebody named Laura, who's a representative from the agency, says, what's going on? And Chandler says, oh, just like I said, that crazy bird, he's roaming the halls. Bang, 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 bang. Guys. And Monica, Courtney Cox, says, keep on roaming, Bert. We don't want any crazy today. And Joey says, what's going on from the other side of the door? Chandler, we'll talk to you later, Bert. Everything's fine. Joey goes away. Everything doesn't sound fine. The agency rep says, is he all right out there by herself? And here we're coming to the quote, eventually, Tom, you picked. And Chandler says, oh, yeah, he has a caretaker, his older brother, Ernie, Bert and Ernie. And here is what Chandler said, nervously looking at her. You can't make this stuff up. And Dom wanted to substitute another word that starts with S and ends with T for stuff, but we won't do that on the show.
We're going to use the word stuff, Bonnie, just to keep it clean.
You can't. So tell me something, Dom. What does this have to do? Just briefly. Keep it to 2 minutes.
Yeah, I honestly didn't remember the episode or honestly remember where I got it from, but somewhere something really crazy happened. I call it life interferes. It might be a headline. It might be a story. It might be something that happens to you. And you just kind of want to throw your hands up in the air and go, you can't make this stuff up, right? I mean, literally, if somebody in Hollywood wrote the script, it would never be like that because no one would believe it. Yet stuff like that happens to us, if not every day, every week, right? We look at the headlines in the news, we look at an experience we go through, and we can interpret that in a positive way or a negative way, but I just find a little humor sometimes helps, and it's just, I throw my hands up in the air and go, you can't make that stuff up. You literally couldn't write a Hollywood script. So I kind of use it as a little self-deprecating humor, a little way to look at life, look at philosophy and say, you know what? It's so ridiculous that somebody had to make it up, right? Somebody had to write a script in Hollywood about it. Helps me get through the day sometimes, Bonnie.
And I want to know what this has to do with your radio experiences. So give me 2 more sentences, Dom. I know you weren't ready to do this, but tell me, what does this have to do with radio? You can't make this stuff up.
Well, I'll just expand it and I'll do it really short. But I actually got involved in TV and doing some TV network literally about 15 years ago, Bonnie. And it really had to do with the short version of a long story. I look, my phone rings and it says anonymous on the phone. And I don't know who that is. And I would never answer the phone because it says anonymous. Whatever possessed me, I answered the phone. It was a network producer. Can you be on TV this afternoon? Again, I'm giving you the short version. I made an appearance on the show. I enjoyed it. They enjoyed it. I've been doing live TV ever since, and all because I answered that phone that said anonymous. And I can't tell you how many times, Bonnie, I've said, if I never answered that phone, where would life be today? It was literally a Hollywood script that no one would believe. So, yeah, in the way it relates to radio and what we do today, I don't even know if I'd be here today if I would be doing radio if I didn't answer that phone call 15 years ago.
I agree. I think for all of us, you can't make this stuff up. Here we are talking about being radio hosts. Who would have believed it? Ron,
Never.
You want to say something? Ron, brief?
No, I'm good.
Okay. I saw you thinking. I saw that brain working. There you go. So let's go to Sandy Bloom's quote. Sandy has picked a quote. It's a little dark and evil here, Sandy. It's from Mr. Spock, played by the wonderful late great Leonard Nimoy. Star Trek, American sci-fi TV series, Season 3, Episode 4. I do my research. It aired on October 11, 1968. The episode, And the Children Shall Lead. The Federation Starship Enterprise arrives at the planet Triacus, Triac, Triacus. Captain Kirk, Dr. McCoy, and First Officer Spock beam down in time to, I hope that sounded like beaming down. Dom, was I good at that? Beam down in time to witness the death of Professor Starnes, the leader of a scientific expedition team. The others in the expedition, apart from 5 seemingly unconcerned children who play and chant, seem to have died, dominated by a mysterious fear. The children bring the crew. Crew bring the children back to the Enterprise, where McCoy evaluates them and determines they're suffering from lacunar amnesia, unaware of what happened and unable to grieve. I'm going to stop there. Sandy, you got to make this one a happy one. I'm not sure where you're going to go. The quote is, without followers, evil cannot spread. Sandy, you got your work cut out for you. Go ahead.
You asked for a quote, and I am a Trekkie, and so it had to be from Star Trek. And I like that quote because I just think that's so important to what we're all doing, which is trying to provide the public with accurate information. Because when I was a kid, when some of us were children, there were 3 networks. And although, not all the information might have been accurate, we all shared it. That was all, everybody had the same news, the same information. That no longer is true. And there's a lot of misinformation out there. And the idea that without followers, evil cannot spread. If there's not people who are buying into misinformation, then it can't spread. And I see it as being, there's so much misinformation and really bad information that's out there that's being delivered to all kinds of folks, and they're believing it, and it's terrifying. So I think that's what radio can do, what all of everybody that's talking about this can do, is provide real, accurate information. And on our show, we're gonna interview a whole lot of people who that's what they're doing with their life, is providing knowledge about really important topics, including journalists. So
I like it. Thank you. You brought that all the way around the block.
Nicely
Sandy.
done.
Very
Thank you.
beautifully done. Very elegant and eloquent. Thank you. Ron Roel. I'm still remembering how to say your last name. It's amazing. They said she couldn't do it for a whole hour. I will. Ron has picked a quote. I think we should all sing it. It's from the 59th Street Bridge song, Feeling Groovy, Simon and Garfunkel, 1966, going way back in time. The album was Parsley, Sage, Rosemary, and Thyme, song by the rock folk duo, written by Paul Simon, originally released on their album. Cashbox called it a sparkling, spirited lid. I just want to read a little background, Ron. You're going to forgive me for this, please.
Absolutely.
The song is named for the Queensboro Bridge that spans the East River. Many of us know the bridge, between New York City boroughs of Manhattan and Queens. 59th Street Bridge is a popular unofficial alternate name for this landmark, whose Manhattan end is between 59th and 60th Streets. Reportedly, the song came to Paul Simon during a daybreak walk across the bridge. Just kicking down the cobblestones refers to the paving at the approach to the Queen's End, while Hello Lamppost, What You Knowin' refers to either of 2 bronze lampposts at the Manhattan and Queens ends. Simon opted to title the song after the site rather than its hook line, Feelin' Groovy, which he called a lowbrow turn of site rather than, what did he say? A lowbrow turn of phrase, but it was track listed on the album as Feeling Groovy parenthetically. Does everybody want to sing this with me? Slow down, you move too fast. You want to all do it? Dom, you up for song?
No, I'm going to pass on that one, Bob.
Okay, Sandy, you want to sing
Thanks
with
for the
me?
no,
invite.
you go ahead, Bob.
Ron, you want to sing with me?
Sure, why not?
Okay, 1, 2, 3. Slow
Slow
down.
down, you move
too fast. Got
got
to
to
make the
the
morning
morning last.
last. Okay, I'm going to stop there.
There
That's
we
all you
go.
sent me. Love
Very good.
Ron. Let's have an applause for Ron, not for me,
Very
for
good.
Ron Roel. That was beautiful. Thank you for joining me. Ron, what does this have to do with your radio show? Go ahead.
Well, it had to do with my radio show and my life, actually, which is that, a few weeks ago, we now have I'm not sure why we did it, but we did it. We have a 1-year-old puppy, a golden retriever puppy.
Me
What,
too.
you too? Okay.
8 months old.
Yeah, we think like, what were we thinking?
What was I thinking?
My kids told me, don't even, Mom. They said, don't even get a dog. Don't even think about it. Okay, you can go ahead now, Ron. Go ahead.
Well, so that's a whole story, but I walk her every morning, and we walk along the road, and these cars are speeding by, and I'm like, where are you going? What is your problem? Stop, slow down. You're moving too fast. It's dangerous. That's a metaphor for, life itself. It's like, where, slow down, look around. I go out and I carry my phone with me, but I never look at it. I just have it in case, my family needs me. Sometimes that happens. But I don't look at it. I just look at her. I watch her sniffing the world. And I just feel that this is a metaphor for where are we going so fast? Just slow down and enjoy the view, and enjoy the senses, enjoy the smells, enjoy life. Just, it will go fast enough. So that's part of slowing down. That is important to me, and I find it interesting too, Bonnie, that when Paul Simon was asked about this song, he said, "Oh, I hate that song." And I was like, I think it was just that as he got older, he got more sophisticated and thought, it was sort of a simplistic song. But I found it, as most of us, it's simplistic, but we all remember the tune. And and I think it's also I heard it recently because I went to this show called Forever Simon and Garfunkel. It's this duo that sings the Simon and
Tribute.
Garfunkel the tribute songs, yeah.
Mhm.
And it was really a sweet occasion. And I and partly because this duo is the guy who plays the Garfunkel role is about 6'2", and Simon is about 5'7". So they're literally the replica visually of them, and they're also the Garfunkel figure is 64 years old, and the Simon figure was 27. So to me, it was a metaphor for how you can do this in life and how you can mix things up. And if you slow, and the whole story of how they met, it was like it came from slowing down and looking and saying, wait a minute, this, yeah, disparities, but this works. This and their harmony is amazing, is just
Nice.
stunning. So,
Very nice.
that's what it means to me.
Thank you. And we can relate that to radio in the sense of when you have an hour-long show, which we do on Voice America, actually 57 minutes, you can slow down because there's time to
That's
say
right.
what you need to say. And that's in somebody's point. I want to get to by the way, I had a guest on my Read My Lips show last night, Ron, who was talking about changing his careers. He's been a diplomat and a scientist, and
Mm.
he's an entrepreneur, and he's a pharmacist. He's done everything. And so very, very interesting. I started quoting 16 tons. Now, that song is probably in the 1950s. 16 tons. What do you get? Another day older and deeper in debt. St. Peter, don't you call me because I can't go. I owe my soul. Sorry, to the company store, about a man being a company man. You can't leave that job you were in. Now, how did I remember that song from how many decades ago? We're not going to say. I heard it in my mother's womb, of course. Oh, no, I heard it. Anyway, never mind. Okay, so there are things that stay with us, and we'll just leave that alone. So I tell you what, you've each sent me 4 statements about what radio means to you, about the future of radio. I'm going to pick a statement, one from each of you. We're going to go this really fast, like 2 minutes. Dom, if you can force yourself 2 minutes. Sandy, too. Ron, I'm not sure of. So Dom sent me this statement number 1. Let's read this. You say, from my point of view, the impact of live radio is profound, providing a dynamic platform for addressing issues and current events in real time. The ability to react to unfolding situations allows for immediate discussions, fostering authenticity, a direct connection with the audience. Live radio's responsiveness enhances its role as a source of breaking news and facilitates open conversations about pressing matters. Give me a 2-minute expansion of this, although it was very expanded already. Dom, go ahead.
Yeah, and I actually want to touch on a point that Sandy made. Not just misinformation out there, right, Sandy, but the drama, and we call it headline risk in our business, and the biases in the information, and people are expected to make not only financial decisions but life decisions, and they're looking at the news every day, and it's scary stuff, right? It adds tension and drama to our lives. It adds an amazing amount of stress to our world. So when the show came up and we decided to do it, first on this premise that we just wanted to bring, unbiased information, but then it was a calming voice where we could use the time, and an hour is a long time. I never thought we could keep an hour going. I was like, what are we going to talk about for an hour? And usually every week we're like, oh my God, I wish we had another 20 minutes to kind of expand on these subjects. But it gives us an opportunity in a very calm, hopefully unbiased, very earthy way, discuss some pretty complex issues that's going on in the world, right? And so the end goal is that maybe people take a deep breath, to Ron's point, relax a little bit. Don't get so overwhelmed by the noise and the news and the breaking news. Let's take a deep breath. Let's keep the stress down a little bit. Let's look at the bigger picture. And you know what? It all works out. It all works out, but don't make big mistakes making short-term decisions.
Thank you. Very well put. Appreciate that. Let's go on. Ron, your song is really going to help everybody here. Okay. Sandy Bloom, interesting statement number 2 you sent. Live radio offers the opportunity to have meaningful but public conversations with people who are making unique contributions to the world around us. So we're not talking about investment advice. We're talking about other types of contributions. Sandy, go ahead. 2 minutes. What do you got?
Well, I think that's what people, because of what you guys have been talking about, and you two have much more experience. I'm still new at this. We've only had our first show. So but what we're going to do is interview people that we have a lot of respect for their work in like Dom talked about, you have an hour to do that, to kind of break it up and really explore what the issues are. And they're usually things that are not being covered by the headline news. No, that's not breaking news. It may be incredibly important for people to know, but they're not going to know it unless there's some way that they can hear from people who actually are providing them with accurate information. So that's what I meant by that, is that there's just no way to get much of that on the media. That you can, if you get magazines, there are, more in depth, but you got to read, you got to take the time to do it. So, I think that so many people are listening to podcasts that would not listen to the news, would not read in-depth articles in magazines, and they're out there and they're interested and they want to learn things. And I'm a teacher, so that's what I meant by that, Bonnie.
Thank you very much. And the quality of the voice matters, doesn't it, everyone? You want them to listen to you. You want to be clear, express yourself, be articulate, not have any background distractions. That's all part of the presentation, isn't it? I've been doing radio a long, long time. And I find that I combine, well, my Technology Revolution show is tech. It's the future. It's on artificial intelligence right now, last year and this year. But I find that adding a little bit of popular culture to very serious topics engages people. I think that's, to me, is part of what we do on radio, is how do you get not just, Ron, that hour of slowing down? How do you get people to want to listen to the whole hour? How do you get them past the first 3 minutes? Oh, I didn't like their voice. Oh, there's noise in the background. Oh, is that a tugboat? I don't know. Oh, sure, her mic is scratchy. That's part of the challenge, is production value. Seriously, that we all are faced with. And right now, the 3 of you sound really good. And that's why I do so much prep on my shows, to make sure that my guests have the opportunity to be heard, but the audience has the opportunity to want to hear you. That, to me, these are the mechanics of doing radio or podcast, whether live or not. I'm off my soapbox now. Let me go to Ron Roel. I'm on your statement number 3. You say many experts in the field of aging and healthcare need viable virtual platforms to deliver their message to potential clients in ways that are more targeted and efficient than other forms of media. Ron, 2 minutes. Talk. What do you got?
Well, I think that we are in an age of specialization. There are lots of sources for news and information. So this offers something that people need, and they need it. They need it because they're time starved. They need to get information. They need it. They can pause, but not for long. So they really need to have information that answers their needs in a useful way. And that's what I try to do, especially in this area. To borrow what Sandy and Dominick were saying before, there's a lot of misinformation about this field of aging, and there's a lot of bad information about what it means to age. So this gives me an opportunity to really zero in on these issues of really broadly. What it does is it's attacking ageism and our perceptions of aging and what it means and what the opportunities are and what the challenges and what the values and joys are of aging. So this gives me an opportunity to be broad and yet targeted in this area and get to the point, because a lot of people don't have a lot of time, and it enables them to multitask in ways that still they can get the information. So in other words, you can go for a walk and listen to what I have to say. It's not going to interfere with your walking. So you can do it, and you can do it in ways that fit into your lifestyle.
You might even slow down the pace of your walking, or you might walk a little faster so you can get home. And if there's a video, you might want to see that.
Right.
To me, the value of live radio is that we record our shows so they can go back. People can go back and say, oh, I was busy. I was walking. I was talking to somebody. I only heard the first 3 minutes of Ron Roel show. Oh, there's the link to the recording.
Right.
I'll go back and listen later. And that's part of the reason I do live streaming of the videos of the shows, because I learned years ago I was doing all my shows on the phone and I couldn't see my guests think. I like to watch you think, Ron. I like to watch you think, Dom. I like to watch you think, Sandy. So to me as a host, I'm getting a lot of visual value from being able to relate to you, your mood, your style, how you talk, how you articulate. This to me is gold, to me as a host, to be able to appreciate you, not just your voice. So that's why I added the visual component to my shows in 2019. Enough soapboxing again. Thank you all for your thoughts on radio. I want to ask a couple of questions, and then we're going to do some famous birthdays just for fun. I got to zip through these. Will live radio, like we're doing, and I still call it radio, I don't call it podcasting, I'm sorry. Will it still be around in 2025 is next year? Oh my goodness. 2030. Will there still be live radio like we're doing it? Sandy, yes or no? One word answer. Sandy's thinking. What's that?
I hope so.
I hope so. Okay. Dom?
Absolutely. Yeah,
Ron?
I'm convinced.
Ron?
Yes.
Okay, good. I agree with all of that. I'm still going to be doing it. I might be up to 70 series by then. Who knows? Quick, some famous birthdays. Chesley Sullenberger, the guy who landed the plane on the Hudson River. He's 72 today. Everybody wave hello. Happy birthday. He was number 2 in Time Magazine's 2909 list of the top 100 most influential heroes and icons, and Tom Hanks played him in the movie Sully. Mariska Hargitay, is she still doing Law and Order SVU? She sure is.
Oh, wow.
She's 59, still looks great. And by the way, did you know that she was Miss Beverly Hills? She went to UCLA, and you all know that her mother was Jane Mansfield, who was called the working man's Marilyn Monroe. I didn't know that. Tiffany Thiessen, you probably don't remember Beverly Hills 90210, and she was in that. And Richard Dean Anderson, he was the original MacGyver on TV. But before that, he was on General Hospital. He's 73. There you go. I have 2 social media stars that are going to knock your socks off. On YouTube, there's a young man who's 37. I think that's a young man. His name is Michael Stevens, and his show is V, the letter V with the word sauce next to it, Vsauce. He has 21 million subscribers and 3.6 billion views. Do you know what he did? He started an educational YouTube channel called Vsauce, which celebrates curiosity by investigating out-of-the-ordinary questions in fun, thought-provoking ways. And he launched the series, Could You Survive the Movies? And he won a Streamy Award. And he has degrees in neuropsychology, Sandy, and English literature from the University of Chicago. And
Wow.
one of his videos has been viewed 40 million times since 2015. And on TikTok,
Bonnie, you can't make that stuff up.
you certainly can't. And I look for this. And we have a TikTok star
Nicely done, Dom.
TikTok star named Nick Grigiola, who's 24. Poor boy. He only has 3.1 million followers. He does comedy videos and skits. Today in music history, I have 3 minutes left. Nina Simone's Trouble in Mind peaked at number 92 in 1961. In 1962, on this date in history, Tony Bennett recorded I Left My Heart in San Francisco. My mother-in-law used to say that. In 1964, the Temptations released The Way You Do the Things You Do. Try not to kill the show here. In 1965, Petula Clark's Downtown climbed to number 1 on the Hot 100, the first UK female singer to release the top on the US single charts since Vera Lynn way back in 1952. In 1969, in this day, Elvis recorded Suspicious Minds at a small studio in Memphis, and it was his comeback, gave him his last number 1 in America. In 1977, Carole King's Tapestry, My Life Has Been a Tapestry, sets a new record, 302 weeks on the Billboard albums chart. And let's see one more. In 1988, on this day, the California Raisins, I heard it through the grapevine, peaked at number 84 in the Billboard Hot 100. And that's all for now. Today is International Sticky Toffee Pudding Day. I want you to note that, Dom. Go get some sticky toffee pudding. It's Measure Your Feet Day. Don't ask. It's National Aiden Day. Anybody Aiden, say hello. Handwriting Day, Pie Day, Rhubarb Pie Day, and it's Snowplow Mailbox Hockey Day. Don't even ask. January is a month of apple and apricots, artichokes, asparagus, bread machine baking, International Brain Teaser. That's from International Creativity, National Hobby Month, Hot Tea Month, and Mail Order Gardening Month. And that's it. So we've got 1 minute left, and I want to say thank you. By the way, we didn't take pictures. We'll do that after the show, so don't run away. So here is my closing, and I want you to all listen up carefully. Life is short. Break the rules. Forgive quickly. Sandy, not so much. Not personal with you and me. Kiss slowly. Of course, kiss slowly. Love truly. Laugh uncontrollably. Laugh with me for 2 seconds. 1, 2, 3. Laugh with me. Dom, out loud. Laugh. Dominic.
Excellent. Thank you.
Oh, you're making me feel really lonely here. And never regret anything that made you smile. Work like you don't need the money. Dance like no one's watching. Sing like nobody's listening. I tried. And love like you've never been hurt. We all have. Get over it. Money talks, doesn't it, Dom? Chocolate sings, la. And last but not least, I stole this line from a host about 20 years ago. Thank you for turning me on. Bonnie D saying thank you to the wonderful Dominick Tavella. Dom, lovely to meet you. Sandy Bloom, Dr. Bloom. What an exciting thrill to have you on the show. Learned a lot from you. And Ron Roel, come back anytime. Come back, kid. Everybody wave goodbye. Jordan, our engineer, thank you. Are we
Good night,
out?
all.
Wait, don't go
Good night.
away. Jordan,
Don't go anywhere.
don't go away. Jordan, are we done?
All clear. Great show.
Thank you. Bye to social.